Well, good morning. You're watching Morning at NTV. Time for us to take note. And you're with me, Flavia Tumusime. So for the last 2 months, I've been hosting writers. And our biggest conversation has been about your writing for Ugandans. But we don't read, or we don't like reading. Not many of us. How are we going to foster a reading culture in us? And I think the one thing we've always noticed is that the conversation starts from when we were younger. Were we encouraged to read? Did we take an interest in reading? Not reading to pass exams, actually taking an interest in digging into a book and finding out where it can take you and your mind. So just that. Let's start with the young ones. If we can foster a reading culture in the young ones, that would be great. Joining me today is an author and an HR consultant who's here to talk about the National Dialogue on Reading for Children. Good morning, Julia.
Good morning, Flavia.
How are you?
Very well.
Good. You're a mother of 2.
Yes.
You look amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Just to start there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I've been having writers here, Ugandan writers, and they're saying we're here, we're writing books. It's just the people who are supposed to read the books don't necessarily have any interest. And I think most of them always go back to, I'm writing now because I was taught how to read when I was younger. So let's say you and I grew up in an era where you read because you took an interest in reading, not because maybe at home you were pushed to read. But you have taken an interest, and as you were telling me, you have a passion for people learning how to read or reading to improve themselves. Let's just talk about you. You're an author and you're interested in this, but where does it all start? Where does the interest peak from?
The interest peaks from many years back. When you read, something happens to you. You fall in love with books. And when you fall in love with books, then no one needs to tell you, you need to read. Okay. So you just keep reading, just keep reading. The passion just grows stronger. It's like a musician singing. They just want to keep singing. Yeah. So that's really me with reading. It just keeps growing. What
did you grow up reading, or what kind of books interest you?
I read many books, including Mother Duckling.
You're one of those, Julia. You were one of those.
Including Annie. Those are very, very fond memories for me in my book list.
Yes.
And
imagine.
Yeah, so I read a lot of those very nice, lovely stories. And they grew up with me. Yeah. And as I grew older, I moved away from reading so many novels, and I moved into reading a lot of self-help, personal development books, a lot of Christian literature, and now a lot of consultancy literature. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I read a lot of self-help books, and someone was telling me, for those of us who enjoy reading self-help books, that when you read one book, you've read all of them. I said, no, there's always that one thing that you're getting from this book and that book. Everyone has their reasons. Sometimes people read to escape. Just want to get into a book and just escape. What is your reason for reading?
I read when I'm extremely tired.
Really?
Yes.
You can focus and concentrate when you're tired?
Yes, very surprisingly. Wow. I read until I sleep.
What?
And I also read when I'm very fresh. But for me, ultimately, I read because I'm finding something mostly about myself. Right. So it's a journey of learning about myself and creating myself. Yeah.
So you were telling me a story about your experience with one of your children. I think when you're starting out, to notice the importance of you teaching them to read. Tell me about that.
Interesting story. When my son was 6, I kept thinking to myself, I'm a first-time mother. I'm looking at this boy, he's learning to sit. Sooner or later, he'll begin to crawl. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm buying him diapers, making sure he has milk, he has a warm home, loving parents. But what else is there? What else is there for me to give to this child? And I kept thinking about it. And before long, I realized that for me as a mother, I actually love to read. And reading has brought me places. It's taken me to where I am now. And so I thought, if there is a gift that I'm going to pass on to him that is intangible but lasts forever, it's a love for reading. So then I decided to actually find him books. Of course, like any starter, usually you start on the wrong note.
And at 6 months, what are you going to really give your son? Because 6 months they were throwing toys around and just eating everything.
Eating everything,
Yes.
dirty or clean.
Oh,
Yeah. So I got him a book, but it wasn't the right book for his age. So it had a little more text for his age. It had very beautiful pictures. That was the good thing. So he would skim through it, would read 1-2 pages a day, stuff like that. And before long, this book was in tatters. Every page, wherever
he tore it. That was his version of reading. Okay.
Yeah. And then later I noticed that I actually need to do some research on this. If I want to do it the right way and to make sure that he actually takes it on, then I need to know what the right way is.
Yes.
It's not enough to love something. If you do it the wrong way, it's still the wrong way. So I got him a board book because that's what's recommended for his age. Very little text, almost no text, very beautiful pictures. Well, boys are boys. He tore it up.
Okay. So the lighter one didn't work. The board book didn't work.
But we kept talking about it. So, you know, you talk to children, you're not sure if they're actually understanding, but parents have a lot of faith. You just keep talking. So I kept telling him, you see, this is your book. So you have to keep it well. After reading, put it in a shelf. After reading, put it on the table. Don't kick it around and tear it. And with time, now he's the one who stops the little sister from tearing his books.
So someone might be watching and saying, okay, I don't mind what Julia's saying. I want to teach my children how to read. It might be valuable for them, but they're thinking 6 months. What do they know? This whole notion of us as African parents saying that at that age, you wait for when they can talk and walk and go to the market. That's when I'll teach them how to read. Is there a need for patience, or what did you employ as a parent at that age when they can't talk back at you to help them with reading?
Teaching our children to read is like teaching them to walk. From day one, you're actually holding your baby up, hoping that their feet will be flat on your laps.
And stay, yeah.
And so teaching a child to read is more like that. You start doing it as early as possible. I know that people elsewhere around the world begin on day 0. Before you say it's day 1, they are actually exposing this child to 5 pages of just one sunshine, a moon, a cow, a goat, stuff like that. Just images. But what they're doing is telling the child that you have come into the world and books are part of the world. And they are a nice thing. They are something you should live with, grow up with. So then the child, before long, when they see text with the images, they begin to relate to the text. And as they grow older, the images disappear. It's just the text. Whole page, 2 pages, 10 pages. And then it's something they have grown up with. It's not something they find 3 years later in school because the teacher says you need to read to pass exams.
2 things. One, because if it's a national dialogue on reading for children, that means the parents who are really going to put in some work as well. You're going to read with your child, or read to your child, I guess, at some ages, just reading to them, hoping, as you said, they're understanding what you're saying. So one, how parents can probably improve themselves for those who are in the who just need a bit of improving to help their children read. And also 2, you'll talk to us about the value of the people around the child, because Julia, you're not the only person who's around your children.
That's true.
There's
That's true.
someone helping you at home. There's the father of the child. There's uncles. There's people who are exposed to this child for many hours. How can we also include them in helping our children read? So let's start with the parent. What do I need to know or do as a parent to help my child read?
What you need to know as a parent is that it will be a journey. I used a metaphor earlier that when you get on a bus to some place, you just know you will reach. So it's like when you get on a journey to teach your child to read, you make the first step, you keep going, you pay your bus fee, because you may be thrown out of the bus.
Yeah.
So you will have a price to pay as you go on this journey of teaching your child to read.
You also must like the reading.
Yes, because you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't give what you don't have. So as a parent, it's to unlearn some of the things you know for your child, really, because parents go through life sacrificing many things for their children, but we need to step into a place where we ask ourselves, am I sacrificing something that will last forever? Because if we sacrifice short term, then it's short-term gain. But if we sacrifice for the long term, then we are actually giving our children a platform to live on, become their very best, and not have statistics. I mean, World Bank recently put out that a child born in Uganda today will only live to maximize 38% of their potential.
Whoa.
And it got me thinking, no, 38, not even 50.
There's a lot more.
There's a lot more.
So if I'm a parent who doesn't like to read and I was hoping to just throw my child in a school and the school helps them to read, that's not going to work. Is that what you're telling me?
It might work, surprisingly, but it's even better, even stronger if a parent reads. It's like saying that I will not behave the way I want my children to behave, but I will hope that they will behave the way I want them to.
Okay.
So if we are parents, you don't have to become a philosopher.
No, don't be an expert.
You don't have to read the books that Bill Gates and Warren Buffett reads. I mean, Warren reads 52 books a year. That's one book a week. So you don't have to read that. You may be reading 1 page a day. And it's enough for your child to actually see that you're modeling a good habit for them. You may actually not be a fan of books, you read magazines or you read papers, but for God's sake, read something.
And I think we all grew up with at least the father or the uncle or somewhere in the home reading the newspaper. I think just try that, and you somehow knew that they read them and they take their time to read them. So what about the people around the child? You have the support system that helps you raise the child. Must they also be part of this journey?
It's better if they're part of this journey. I'll tell you that personally, for all my housemaids who are my children's nannies at the same time, I have actually, when they come, I ask them, so do you know how to read?
Wow.
And good enough, I've had many that are above senior 4, so most likely they can actually read something. So being that they're young girls, I get them some magazines, which would appeal to them, so they'll see some models. They'll
pictures, fashion, clothes.
Yeah, so they'll want to read. Currently, I have an interesting one who actually finished reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Whoa.
And she read it and finished it. And I asked her, what did you learn? And she began telling me something very different. And I said, no, but you see, you were reading a book about habits. So what are the habits?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's actually a journey where you don't look at just benefiting your children, but benefiting the world, because these people stay in our homes. If they live when they're better people, we have a better world. Yeah.
All right, so that means the people who stay with you in the home, who interact with the child, let the child not say only mommy reads.
Yes.
Everyone must read.
Yes.
All right, so you have written a book, My Child Loves Reading.
Yes.
Tell us about this book.
This book is born from that long story that we
your 6-month-old son.
Yes, and this book contains breakthrough strategies that parents, adults, teachers can use to ignite a passion for reading amongst children. So as you go through this book, you will realize that there are very many creative ways you can actually teach a child to love reading, aside from you just reading or you reading for them. There's so much you can do, and also to emphasize that, you know, when children are little, they're
Yeah.
just curious.
Yes.
So they will see books, they will be curious about them. The question should be, what is the guarantee that this child who is curious about a book at 3 will still love reading at 10 and at 15?
Right.
So it needs to be an intentional thing that we do to build that love,
Okay.
so that it's not just the curiosity, but it grows into a passion for reading.
You told me you had to read. I wonder, in writing a book like My Child Loves Reading, which is, as you said, is sort of like a guidebook for parents, for adults, for children to figure out how to read or to foster reading child. Did you do a bit of research? What did you stumble upon? You know, I'm trying to see, what you stumbled upon while writing this book.
A lot of things. A lot of
Yes.
things. Some of which blew my mind away.
Yeah.
I found out that there are games you can play to help your child read better. And the very at the core of loving to read is understanding what you read.
You're reading, yes.
Because when you don't, then it doesn't make sense to you, and then you just want to go
Just
with it
finish the
for
book.
the sake of it. And that's what many children do in school. You read to pass the exam.
That's
After the exam, you don't remember what you wrote. Yeah, so how do you help a child comprehend better what they read? So that's a lot about what I found
Games.
out.
So did you include some of those?
Yes.
Ah,
yes,
nice,
there's
nice.
a whole chapter on that.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So the National Dialogue on Reading for Children is the first one, right?
Yes, it is the first one.
So somebody who's watching, what would be the take-home, the value I'm going to get at the dialogue?
At the dialogue, we will have a discussion panel,
Okay.
because what I would like to do, or what we would like to do, because Success Africa is behind this dialogue, is to create a national conversation about what's happening in Uganda today around reading for children. What are the stakeholders doing? What's working?
Yes.
What's not working? And at a national level, what do we need to really do as a nation, not as individual families or communities, but as a country? And then take that and give it to government and stakeholders to implement. So the Ministry of Education will be there. The State Minister for Primary Education will be there. We'll have panelists from different organizations coming on board to share their experiences and knowledge, so that then we have some recommendations to take home. And we will also do the launch for My Child
the book.
Loves Reading.
Okay,
Yes.
so who do you want to see at the dialogue?
We are inviting all parents.
Okay.
We are inviting all stakeholders. We are inviting all well-meaning Ugandans, because you may not be a parent now, but 2-3 years from today, you will be a parent, and you need this platform.
And also, as we've said, not everyone who comes in contact with children, you sort of need to know this to help them. So when is the dialogue, where, and how can we support?
The dialogue is 1st November, which is a day from now, to Thursday
yeah.
at 5:30 at Kampala Conference Center, and we will start at 5:30 p.m.
I wonder where's Kampala Conference Center? Is it just me? Guys, I'm helping you. You also didn't know.
Central Business District.
Okay, see?
Yes. And one last one. There are tickets at all Aristoc Bookless stores, and there are also tickets at Success Africa offices on Impala House, 6th floor.
Okay.
Yes.
Before we wind up, there's something that Juliet shared with me that I think is very key for parents who have children around you. And maybe your question is, okay, so am I getting books that I love to read on the bookshelf and just getting them to read? Do I pick their interest? How am I even going to know what interests my child? Because some of you really sometimes don't pay attention. So how would you answer that? How would they be able to figure out what sort of content to read for their children or to give their children to read?
Many times children are like an open book. And as they grow up, you begin to realize they love certain things. Right now, my daughter loves her dolls. She makes me carry them.
No.
My son was different. He loves animals.
Okay.
He's fearless. So I noticed that from a very young age. When we would go up country, he's on the farm. He doesn't
With
want
the animals,
to leave.
just
Yes,
wow.
and he will touch the cows and touch the dog,
Wow.
and he has no fear with animals. So actually that got me thinking, if I got him books that have farm animals, domestic animals, now even the wild animals,
yeah.
he loves them, he knows their names, he will relate to them. So it's to just be curious as parents and be keen. What does your child love? And also generically, what do you want to expose them to
yeah.
that would build them into the person you would want them to be? Most importantly, to let them decide as they go along, so that we are not living our lives through them. We are letting them live their own life because they have come here to make their own contribution.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just because you're a doctor, please don't just say I'll expose you only to medical books and that is it.
Yes.
You could, hey, everyone raises their children differently, but if you want to give them a wholesome view of the world, I'm guessing just expose them to as much content as possible and just watch them. As she said, if the daughter loves dolls, maybe just expose the child to what is in that world. If it's animals, expose your child to that. Julia K. Singer, thank you so much for your time. This Thursday, which is 1st November, at Kampala Conference Center. You said the tickets are?
At
Aristoc
and Success Africa.
Yeah, and how much are the tickets?
70,000.
70,000.
And that covers refreshments and a
Okay.
copy of the book.
Oh, copy of the book. Great.
Yes,
Fantastic.
yes.
So that copy of the book we're talking about is My Child Loves Reading, which is actually written by Julia. And it's a book that will help parents and adults to know how to help their children love reading. That's it for Morning at NTV. Have a good day.